Demon King Academy is honestly shaping up to be one hell of a ride, where it's not so overboard that it's gory or just all it's doing is throwing shocking elements your way to keep viewers engaged episode by episode, nor is it going the route of being just a parody with a little goofs and gaffs every now and again just to make you let out a good laugh. Also, it's not going the route of being what most series in this vein are, which is very generic light novel Magic Academy anime, where you can literally just change the hair color and it becomes the same anime we've already seen before. This episode did a remarkable job at being shocking and then actually fixing something that I was ready to criticize in episode 3. I thought episode 3 made a very big mistake at making these sisters who get introduced as being very hostile towards one another. One of which clearly is very lovey, wants to be sisters with her. The other is basically shunning her like she's an adopted sibling and she doesn't view that as real family. And then within a matter of minutes after joining Enos' like little group, they magically become sisters again. So I thought they were just kind of going beat by beat without any progression, but then by the end of the episode, it explains why she was like that from the beginning, but also why she seemingly is pushing her way, with the other sister seemingly being okay being tossed aside herself by her seemingly deadline. Once she turns 15, she's going to disappear because apparently she's never existed to begin with. It almost feels to me like there's some resurrection spell or something to that nature being used. Something like reviving a dead sister or creating a sister from scratch. I'm not exactly sure what they're going for, but when you have a main character who is as overpowered as our main man here, I think it's safe to say she'll probably get out of this unharmed. Having an overpowered character is always a hit or a miss, and more times I think it's a miss because it doesn't give any stakes or really doesn't allow you to fear for anything happening. At no point do you look at this man and say, oh yeah, he's gonna struggle. It just feels like there's some mystery, like why was, apparently the Demon King's last name changed? Has someone actually altered history? Why are memories being altered of his minions so he has to grab the teacher by the face to basically shake the truth out of him? There's a lot of uncertainty there, and it does obviously provide for some sort of plotline that might make him struggle, maybe not in combat or something like that, but may take him a while to figure out the answers, and that's a fun little quirk it has going for it. But because we have so many shows set in a magic academy with demon kings or demons, demonic eyes, things like that, most of them fall victim into either trying to go with a really sappy romance plotline that feels like middle schoolers not knowing what actual love is, so it just feels very cringy and generic as people ship who they want to end up with who, or you get something that tries to be serious, but honestly, it just takes itself too seriously. But Demon King just decided to bring it to the middle. Say, hey, the sappy romance, it's kind of there, but because our character is actually like over 2,000 years old, despite his age of the body that he's in, he actually seems mature, so he doesn't get flustered by a lot of the middle school bullshit that you're typically used to seeing in a Demon King Academy. So that kind of avoids that plotline, and then just makes you look at these girls as actual characters rather than just what sex object are we going to ship who with now, because that's usually how these shows treat them. So it's really nice to not only have a confident main male character who isn't flustered by the opposite sex, and also having two main female characters who, yeah, they start off a little generic at the beginning, but both of which are shaping up to be quite fascinating as seen by the end of the episode, one of which seemingly pretending to kill her sister because she wants to save her most likely, wants to be playing the villain, she's rushing to this time limit, and another who seems emotionless but now seemingly never existing in this world to begin with, starting to make sense why she's like that. These types of development are typically seen by like 2/3 of the way through, if not, a 2 or something like that. So to actually have it by episode 3, it immediately starts shaping them into more fascinating characters, while our main man has been fascinating since literally the second we met him. I mean, how can you not love a guy who, as soon as he's born, starts talking and says his name to his parents? You gotta love him. To me, this show, it just feels confident, and the fact that it is so confident, what it does is there's so many times I watch a show like this where you have a Magic Academy anime, and I honestly look at the world and the magic system that it's designed, and I say, hey, this is fascinating. If you just put the focus and the emphasis on this system, you're gonna have an enjoyable 12-episode anime. But what they end up doing is they make, oh, here's this socially awkward romance plotline, or this it's supposedly end of the world plotline, but you don't really care all that much for either of them, and you just wish it would focus more on the magic system. What Demon King is doing is, because they avoided the sappy romance plotline, they're like, oh yeah, both of these characters probably are romantically flustered by our main man, but that's not really the focus, nor is that what people are really here to watch. Excellent. They do have the brutal element as seen by the gore, and it does have a more serious plotline with the whole Demon King system, like the fact that hero and a demon work together, and the fact that history has been altered. It's interesting, but it doesn't feel like it's taking itself all that serious. So when you have this overpowered character, It doesn't feel like, oh man, we're trying to set up this super big bad villain, or we're trying to set up this super serious plotline where we want to be actually scared for what's going to happen. A character can lose their head and he's just going to revive them, and he's not going to be the character who's ever going to lose his head, or at least in this first season, I'm pretty damn sure. So what it ends up doing is it just lets it feel confident in the system, and the system is the school. Why is it that this school that is supposedly teaching and trying to raise the next heir for basically the most perfectly suited, successor to our great lord and savior, the Demon King from back in the day, why is it that everything has been altered? And it's just fun to watch a character who's like, not stressed that his history has been rewritten, but just like, this was a bit different. I recognize you. Hey bro, oh, you don't recognize me? I'm just gonna grab you by the face and basically unlock your memories. Ah, damn, even the memory's been altered here. It's just so fascinating to have something so nonchalantly happen, as literally every character in a classroom is just jaw on the floor thinking, this isn't even an expulsion, this is literal, like, you're gonna get your head cut off, like, this is treason, and then nothing happens. It's really great to feel like we're kind of a part of the classroom, or just part of the general scene at hand, being like, you can't do that, and he's just like, why not? I'm the Demon King, and you're like, I mean, with a logic like that, you can't really deny it. It's really fun having someone who is supposed to be overpowered, who's supposed to be this great demon lord, actually feel like a great demon lord. Everything he does is just amazing, and you still have some really great comedy, like the fact that these characters, when you're talking about a hidden passway, like generally you're thinking, oh, there's like a magic seal, you gotta unlock it. This bastard just walks through a wall. This character has no chill, but it doesn't feel like it's trying to be so overboard it's goofy comedy. He legit believes in what he's doing. He's not even trying to crack jokes, because when he tries to crack jokes, it's not funny because his humor is outdated. But his general actions, because of how overboard he is and just how he doesn't read a room, because why would he have to? He's the most powerful person in a room. Why would he have to read it? His word is law. There's a reason why this teacher has just kind of given up. It's pretty damn fantastic. I can't believe I'm saying this. Walking into the show, I never thought I would say this. I'm actually excited about the story here, because our main character and how he connects to the school, how history's been altered, how minions of his are just kind of taking neutral grounds because what he says makes sense, because seemingly my memories have been altered, but at the same time you could be an enemy to the Lord. There's just so much there that's actually interesting without going so serious it loses its charm, nor does it have no logic that it feels completely ridiculous, as if someone with a computer just typed up, a fanfic and somehow it became popular. Demon King actually has substance to its writing, and it understands what it can be and doesn't try to step on its own toes, so it feels like it always sticks the landing. And with the whole sister dynamic where it seems like they legitimately do love each other, but for whatever reason, she needed to make it seem like she was the villain because her demon eyes, which everyone kind of saw the demon eyes coming. Every time her eyes lit up, it was crystal clear like she was kind of like resisting getting into like a demonic rage of some sort. And it was briefly touched upon in the episode how she was trying to hold it back, and because of the help with her sister and things like that, she was able to do so. There was some pretty sweet backstory with their relationship, so it was pretty easy to kind of want to root for the sisterly love, but it also was very easy before we got the whole reveal towards the end of the episode to say, how did they go from loving sisters to hating sisters to back to loving sisters so quickly? But then when you start understanding that there's a lot more than meets the eye, in all honesty, about her demonic eyes, the fact that she's called this doll that maybe has never even existed, it starts making it feel like they really do love each other, one of which is fine sacrificing herself or maybe just not existing in the first place as long as her sister's alive, with the other pretty much trying to do everything she can, probably trying to keep her in there, but being very cold so she doesn't feel true happiness, as maybe true happiness is what causes her to lose control. It's a very interesting relationship and honestly provides for a pretty fascinating plotline in terms of their situation. And then when you have a pretty fascinating plotline with our main king, it kind of just feels like you like the characters, and it's really refreshing to say 3 episodes into a show that generally is just, here's 2 characters that are going to be romantic interests that will never go anywhere to our main character, and here's a story that could be interesting but just falls flat on its face as we have just cliches and edginess. What we end up having is we have 3 pretty fascinating characters. Obviously, Anos is the most interesting of all 3 because, I mean, just look at him. He holds the entire show together, and if you don't believe so, he'll grab your face and make the truth really come out of you. And then the 2 sisters both have distinct personalities. They fall into the kind of like cold and emotionless trope and the more kind of bitchy trope. She tries to be a tsundere, but obviously really isn't, and they start becoming really interesting characters along the way. It just feels like Demon King, it kind of roped in the people who love this genre, and those of us who kind of see the potential, but honestly just feel like there's generally no hope, but this time there actually is hope. It's a very fascinating system, I have to say, and honestly makes me excited for the future. I'm legitimately excited to watch more episodes of this show. The voice actors actually feel like characters. They don't just feel like, here's a cutesy voice, because all this character is a cutesy voice. As long as she looks cute, the job's been done, because all she is there for is the hook in the characters. But when you have interesting plot lines with families kind of being torn apart, and then you have the uncertainty of why history has been changed so much, and did he change history? Was there someone else behind the scenes who is taking his name up and using it for their own benefit? Like, there's a lot happening here, and I honestly don't know what he could do to change the system, because if someone's literally rewrote history 2,000 years ago and is still kind of holding true to that, how is he going to do this? Because he's not going to pass the academy system. He's the most unqualified, despite legitimately being the most qualified, because I guess history has been rewritten by probably someone he's wronged in the past, or they think they have been wronged by him. So it's gonna be fun, I have to say. Like, I just feel excited. I don't feel like this show has really done all that wrong. In fact, I really wouldn't point out anything I would change at this point in time, because the stuff that I was really ready to hammer in saying this is an issue is the fast-pacedness of the sisters' relationship and how it keeps bouncing around. But when you have such a shocking cliffhanger that doesn't feel like it was just there for edge, but legitimately character progression, you can't help but say, you know what, it's doing everything that it needs to do right, and it's not trying to be more than it can be. So why wouldn't you love this show? Because I know I'm definitely enjoying it. But as always, let me know your thoughts and opinions on episode 3. What did you think of the cliffhanger and the overall flow to this episode? Because honestly, it was quite remarkable from my point of view. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like to show your support, and remember to hit that subscribe button if you happen to be around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.